Another dream is within reach. A student opens up a book. An entrepreneur takes another look.
Every election season, millions of Americans make an important decision. Some vote Republican, some vote Democrat, some vote for another party, some choose an independent, and some stay home because they believe their vote cannot change the outcome. Tonight, our panel asks a simple question with a surprisingly complicated answer. Can independent candidates really compete? Or has the modern political system become too difficult for newcomers to enter? Welcome to the Thunderdome. Good evening and welcome back to America Together Radio. If this is your first visit, our panel is made up of fictional mascot characters representing different civic philosophies. They are here to challenge ideas, not people. Last episode we met the panel. Tonight the debates officially begin.
I've been looking forward to this one. Everybody seems to have an opinion about independent candidates.
That's true. Some see them as fresh voices. Others see them as spoilers. Still others wonder if they have any realistic path to winning at all. Tonight we're going to examine the question from several different angles. Before we hear from our panel, let's establish one important point. An independent candidate is generally someone running outside the major political parties. Exactly how that works can vary depending on the office, the election rules, and the jurisdiction. This discussion is about the broader idea of independent candidacies and the opportunities and challenges they may face.
So tonight isn't about one person.
Correct. It's about the system itself. President Pipeline, you drew the opening question tonight. Why should voters even consider an independent candidate? Take your time. We'll begin there.
Paints the sound with gold.
Welcome back to America Together Radio. Tonight's question, can independent candidates really compete? President Pipeline, you have the floor.
Thank you. I think voters should consider every candidate on 3 questions. First, does this person understand the problem? Second, do they have practical ideas? Third, can they work with people who disagree with them? Those questions matter more than the letter next to a candidate's name. Independent candidates often face difficult hurdles: ballot access, fundraising, name recognition, debate invitations. Those are real challenges. But history has shown that new ideas sometimes begin outside established institutions. Whether an independent wins or loses, the presence of another voice can broaden the public conversation.
So your position is that competition itself has value?
Exactly. Competition doesn't guarantee victory, but it can improve the quality of the discussion.
Some listeners might say, that's nice, but eventually somebody has to govern. How does an independent work with Republicans and Democrats after the election?
The same way a mayor works with a city council. The same way governors work with legislatures. The same way neighbors solve community problems. You don't begin with agreement. You begin with conversation.
Liberty Jack, your response?
I agree with one thing immediately. Competition is healthy, but I'm less interested in whether independents can compete than I am in whether the rules allow them to compete fairly. If ballot access rules are confusing, if debate qualifications are impossible, if ordinary citizens can't realistically participate, then we should ask whether voters are seeing the widest possible range of choices.
Are you arguing the system should be changed?
I'm arguing the system should always be examined. Rules deserve the same scrutiny as candidates.
That's a fair point. I'd simply add that whatever reforms people support should be understandable to ordinary voters. Complex systems discourage participation.
Now that's something we can agree on.
Well, it only took half an episode for 2 mascots to agree. I wasn't sure we'd get there.
When we return, Lady Progress asks whether independent campaigns can truly represent overlooked communities, and Captain Constitution reminds everyone that elections operate within a constitutional framework. Stay with us.
The waterfront starts filling up as the afternoon rolls in.
Welcome back. Tonight we're asking, can independent candidates really compete? We've already heard arguments about competition, participation, and examining the rules themselves. Now let's widen the discussion. Lady Progress, some people believe independent candidates give overlooked communities another chance to be heard. Others believe they divide support for causes that are already struggling. Where do you stand?
I think both concerns deserve to be taken seriously. Representation matters, Communities want leaders who understand their experiences. If people feel unheard, they naturally begin looking for new voices. At the same time, building lasting change usually requires cooperation. Winning attention is one challenge. Turning that attention into practical results is another.
So success isn't only measured on election night.
Exactly. Sometimes a campaign changes the national conversation even if it doesn't win the office.
Captain Constitution, your perspective.
Every election operates within a constitutional and legal framework. States establish many of the procedures governing ballot access and elections. Reasonable people can debate whether those rules should change, but changes should be made carefully, transparently, and through the lawful process. The rules should inspire confidence, regardless of which candidate benefits.
So you're reminding everyone that process matters as much as outcomes.
In many cases, yes. A fair process helps people accept results, even when their preferred candidate doesn't prevail.
President Pipeline, do you agree?
I do. Trust is one of the most valuable resources a democracy has. People may disagree with decisions. They should never feel excluded from understanding how those decisions were reached.
And understanding the rules is the first step toward improving them.
As long as everyone has a genuine opportunity to participate.
Opportunity and process should strengthen one another.
You know this is probably less dramatic than people expected.
How so?
I imagine someone flipping a table by now. Market Maverick off microphone. Who bought the table?
We'll hear from Market Maverick after the break. Coming up, Market Maverick asks whether independent campaigns can survive financially. Professor Data looks at evidence instead of assumptions. And the People's Advocate brings the discussion back to everyday voters. Stay with us.
I'm Jeremy Levan. Rural communities understand problems that national politics often ignores. Distance, roads, hospitals, water, agriculture, energy, broadband, schools, and local services are not abstract issues. They are daily realities. America Together 2028 wants those voices included.
Faces, people gathering from different places. The boats are lined along the docks and the music starts right on.
Welcome back. We've discussed philosophy. We've discussed representation. Now let's discuss reality. Campaigns require volunteers, organization, money, time. Can an independent campaign realistically compete? Market Maverick, let's start with you.
Running for office is expensive. Travel, printing, staff, technology, advertising. Those costs exist whether someone belongs to a major party or not. An independent campaign has to convince supporters that every donated dollar is being spent wisely.
Does that make independence impossible?
No, it makes discipline essential. Limited resources force campaigns to prioritize. Sometimes that produces better decisions. Sometimes it exposes weaknesses.
Professor Dade, what does evidence tell us?
History shows independent and third-party candidates have faced significant structural challenges. However, history also shows that campaigns can influence public discussion even without winning office. Ideas introduced by smaller campaigns sometimes appear later in broader political conversations.
So success isn't always measured by election results alone.
Correct. Influence can be difficult to measure, but it should not be ignored.
People's Advocate, what are folks listening at home thinking?
Most families aren't studying campaign strategy. They're wondering, will somebody listen to my concerns? Will anyone explain the issues clearly? Will anything improve after the election? Whether a candidate is independent or part of a major party, people want honesty, competence, and follow-through.
President Pipeline, quick response.
Every campaign should earn trust one conversation at a time. Trust isn't printed on a yard sign. It's built through consistent actions.
And citizens should never stop asking difficult questions.
Especially about who benefits from proposed solutions.
And whether the process remains fair.
And whether today's decision creates tomorrow's opportunity.
Or tomorrow's endless.
After the break, Keach Mascot answers one final question. If they could improve one part of America's election process, what would it be? Stay with us.
Across the waters below, the cities grow, the ferries run, and opportunity continues to grow. The families rise.
Welcome back to America Together Radio. Tonight we've asked a challenging question. can independent candidates really compete? We've heard different perspectives on competition, representation, campaign realities, and public trust. Before we close, I'd like to ask each member of our panel one final question. If you could improve one part of America's election process, what would it be? There are no right answers here, only your perspective.
I'd encourage more opportunities for citizens to hear thoughtful discussions about issues before making decisions. An informed public strengthens every election.
I'd encourage people to understand the rules that govern elections and stay engaged in improving them through lawful civic participation.
I'd like every community to feel that its concerns are heard and taken seriously. Participation grows when people believe their voices matter.
Public confidence depends upon transparent, consistent, and lawful election procedures. Trust is difficult to build and easy to lose.
I'd encourage leaders to think beyond the next election cycle and consider the long-term effects of today's choices.
I'd like campaigns to communicate clearly how they intend to turn ideas into practical action. Ambition is important. Execution matters.
I'd simply ask every candidate to remember the people living ordinary lives after the cameras are turned off.
I hope public understanding begins with good information, careful evidence, and a willingness to examine assumptions.
Tonight, our panel disagreed on several points. They viewed elections through different philosophies, yet they also found common ground. They agreed that informed citizens matter, that public trust matters, that participation matters, and that respectful discussion remains worth protecting. Perhaps that's an encouraging place to begin.
Well, that was a lot more civil on the internet.
The bar may have been set fairly low. Next time, our panel tackles another important question. Should America have more than two viable parties? Expect a spirited discussion, some surprising agreements, and, no doubt, a few memorable disagreements. You've been listening to America Together Radio, simulated mascot debate Thunderdome. Today's discussion featured fictional mascot characters created to explore civic ideas through respectful conversation. The views expressed belong to the fictional characters and are intended to encourage thoughtful discussion rather than represent real individuals. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time inside the Thunderdome.
The same as they have through the years, watching seasons come